So in today's video, I'm addressing the missing piece of the buy, borrow, die strategy, and that is how to safely repay your Bitcoin loan and avoid liquidation. So this comes from the most asked question from this series of videos that I'm doing right now. If I never sell my Bitcoin, how do I ever pay the loan's interest and principal? So just real quick, for those of you guys that don't watch to the end, the three repayment paths are active income, method 2 is recollateralization, or the infinite loop. And then method 3 is income producing assets. So now I'm going to go into each one of those more specifically. By the way, if we're just meeting, my name is Brad. I'm on a mission to empower millennials and Gen X to integrate Bitcoin more deeply into their personal finances so they can reach financial independence in 10 years or less. So the method 1 is active income, and that's probably the most, logical. It's the most, ready-made for, most of us that are taking out a loan and repaying them. So you're allocating a fixed percentage of your monthly paycheck or business revenue to cover the interest first, then the principal. The pros are that it's really simple, it's transparent, there's no extra risk to your Bitcoin collateral, and it keeps the loan non-recourse. Only pledged Bitcoin is at stake. So everything that you have in the loan is the only Bitcoin that you have at stake. The cons is that it requires a steady cash flow. Any income disruption can trigger a margin call. So if you lose your job or you lose your cash flow and you're depending on that cash flow to, pay down the, the loan and the interest on this, it may limit, your lifestyle growth opportunities while your payments are ongoing. So it's not, it is dependent. The method number 1 is dependent on your income, and that's one of the downsides. Method number 2 is recollateralization, easy for me to say. And this is kind of the infinite loop that you hear some people talking about. So the concept is that as Bitcoin appreciates, you open a new, larger loan with a higher loan to value and use the proceeds to pay off the older loan's principal and interest. Now, I'm with you. I know what you're thinking right now, and I'll get to that in a second. So the steps are Bitcoin value goes up, and then you raise the loan to value ceiling, applying for a second loan, for example, an 85% loan to value versus the original 60% or even lower. I prefer lower because that, it basically helps you keep the risk of your loan being liquidated down, as we've talked about in other videos, and then use new cash to retire the first loan. So you're basically just kind of rolling through these. It feels infinite because each appreciation cycle creates more borrowing capacity. And then the risks are compounding debt if asset stalls or falls, so as we are, I would argue, in sort of a bearish market in Bitcoin right now. If you took out, a Bitcoin-backed loan at, Bitcoin's all-time high at 126,000, you're probably, and you've done it at a loan to value of 50%, you're probably having to add liquidity to your position right now. So compounding debt if the asset price stalls or falls, which is what we're seeing right now, higher interest expense on larger balances, and then potential margin call cascade if the new loan's loan to value is breached. So this is really risky, and it really only makes sense for ultra high net worth investors who can absorb temporary over leverage and have a clear exit plan. So as I mentioned in all of these videos with this buy, borrow, die strategy, you have to be really, really careful. And I think that for most of you, which I'll get into this in a few minutes, for most of us right now, this is probably not a great strategy if you are still in a certain phase in your investment posture. But before I get to that, let's go into method 3, and that's income producing assets. This is the ideal path. So the core idea is that you put the loan proceeds to work outside the Bitcoin position. So you're getting into this loan to buy even more productive assets. And so some of the typical vehicles that people will look into is rental real estate, dividend paying stocks or ETFs, like we talk a lot about BTCI and Stretch in this, a business acquisition, yield generating crypto, staking, lending platforms. These are all some vehicles that you can sort of consider. Again, be very, very careful with this. The advantage is that it creates a self-sustaining cash flow loop. The loan is serviced without touching your Bitcoin. It reduces the liquidation risk even if the Bitcoin price slips, because you've got a constant, flow of cash flow, and allows the Bitcoin to continue appreciating tax deferred until death. That's the thing about the buy, borrow, die strategy, is that you're not selling your asset, you're holding on to it, and you're borrowing against it, which is in most jurisdictions, check your own jurisdiction, is a non-taxable event. The key safeguards is to keep a 6-month cash reserve. It could be cash or stable coins, or cash sort of adjacent assets like Stretch perhaps, for any sort of unexpected shortfalls. And this is really just a general principle in your personal finances anyway, right? You always want to have, I recommend for my private clients, at least 6 months to a year worth of cash or cash equivalents to cover any emergencies, whether that's lifestyle emergencies or an emergency in an investment like this. Use non-recourse loans on the income assets whenever possible. So those are the three methods. So active income, you're using your salary or revenue that pays down the debt. Recollateralization, where it involves risk if the Bitcoin value drops. So that's probably for the uber wealthy that are just using a very small percentage of their income. And then using the Bitcoin backed loan, using the buy, borrow, die strategy to buy more income producing assets. Okay. So I mentioned a couple of minutes ago, I'm talking about this in all of these buy, borrow, die videos. I think a lot of you guys, the questions that you're asking in the comments are very good questions. And I think that this buy, borrow, die strategy is probably a little premature for most of us in the Bitcoin space, but I think it's worthy to start wrapping our minds around it. So when Bitcoin has appreciated to, for example, $500 million per coin, $500,000 per coin or $1 million per coin, we can harness that, the growth in the asset. So most of us, I would say, are in the capital growth phase of our investment journey, and that's where we're focusing on raising our net worth. We're growing our overall nest egg. We're buying more Bitcoin and we're harnessing its compound annual growth rate. Okay, now when the buy, borrow, die strategy starts to make sense is when you're moving into the income generation phase. And so you're moving from just focusing on growing your nest egg, growing your overall investment portfolio, and now you are focused on preserving and growing your net worth while at the same time, trying to generate some income off of that. And you're using Bitcoin as the nuclear reactor. So a lot of my audience, I'd say most of the people that I'm doing these one-to-one calls with are probably in the, $1 to $5 million net worth range, and they've crossed that Rubicon. They've sort of hit their financial independence number, and so now they're looking for ways to take all of these sort of trapped assets, that they've generated in the capital growth phase, and start to use them without selling them, creating a taxable income, and then also creating a taxable event, and then also missing out on the growth opportunity of those assets in the future. So if you are here, if you're in the capital growth phase, that's great. And I would just recommend, not financial advice, obviously, but you want to continue to buy assets in this phase. So I'm curious, what do you guys think? What do you think of this overall buy, borrow, die strategy? Does this kind of clarify the repayments question that a lot of you guys had? And was there anything I missed? I'm sure that I'm missing something. You guys are always very gracious to let me know what I'm missing. So there's a little bit of a checklist that you can kind of think through as we're sort of wrapping up. Step one is you want to calculate your monthly cash flow gap, your interest plus desired principal down payment. So you want to stay on top of that. You want to match the gap with the active income or income producing assets before relying on recollateralization. Okay. You want to build a cash or stablecoin reserve equal to 3+ months of payments. I would say, 6 months to a year is always a really, really good buffer. If you consider recollateralization, run a stress test, at least 30% Bitcoin price, to see whether the new loan to value stays safe. How I'm going to do this, and we haven't done a Bitcoin backed loan yet. We're early in the process of this as well, but we will always probably stay 30% loan to value or lower, because that, increases the margin of safety in the loan itself. And then step 5, document the repayment plan and a trust or a legal agreement to keep this strategy transparent for your heirs. Now, I realize that part is probably a little bit advanced for a lot of you guys, but it's worth, kind of thinking through all of these things. This is not rocket science. It's not magic. It's really just being disciplined about getting into the loan, being disciplined about the repayment, which, the repayment can be monthly. It can be on an annual basis. I believe like Ledden, for example, one of the lenders that I'm familiar with, they allow you to, you can pay off the loan. You don't have interest payments on a monthly basis. You can actually pay the interest on an annual basis. And then what a lot of people are doing is, as the Bitcoin price goes up, they're just rolling that into a new loan. Use active income as a safety net, income producing assets as the engine, and then treat recollateralization as a last resort tool, unless and until you've gotten a huge pile of Bitcoin and you're just borrowing against a very small percentage of your assets, which is what I would recommend anyway. I would definitely say I personally would never feel comfortable putting any more than 10% of my overall Bitcoin stack into a Bitcoin-backed loan in this way. Follow these steps, keep the 0.21 Bitcoin safety buffer intact, and you can enjoy the tax advantage of buy, borrow, die without fearing liquidation. That's the thing with all of this. By the way, I don't know if a lot of you guys know that I have a 3-sentence micro newsletter that's aimed at millennials and Gen X that are trying to incorporate Bitcoin into their personal finances to get to financial independence in 10 years or less. It's 3 sentences, a few times a week, just all actionable content, no fluff. We are also doing a weekly live stream on Thursdays where we talk through all of these things: personal finance, FIRE strategies, Bitcoin as your high yield savings account, self-custody, all the latest experiments that we're doing with BTCI and Stretch. And then obviously there's a Q&A. So if you have specific questions about this stuff, it's a great way to kind of come and connect with the community and get your questions answered. A lot of our audience, they're trying to integrate Bitcoin into their daily personal finances. So 2 great resources for that are the Fold debit card and the Gemini Bitcoin MasterCard. Links are in the video description below for those. You can earn and win free sats just in your daily usage of daily dollar spends. And then lastly, I offer 30-minute calls for people that are like looking to get a little bit of extra guidance, get another set of eyeballs on their situation. My calls are really reasonable, so I'd love to connect with you, and I'll see you tomorrow. Okay, since you made it this far in the video, I wanted to offer 2 resources that will help you integrate Bitcoin more deeply into your personal finances. Number 1, Gemini's Orange Bitcoin MasterCard. You can earn up to 4% Bitcoin on everyday purchases like gas, dining, groceries, retail purchases. There's no annual fee, no foreign transaction fees, and no exchange fees on any of your rewards. Plus, if you sign up today using my link in the video description below, you get $200 in Bitcoin when you spend $3,000 in your first 90 days. The link is in the description and the comments below. Number 2, I'm also offering one-to-one calls to answer questions and to help you integrate Bitcoin into your personal finances more deeply, including traditional FIRE and Bitcoin planning, as well as Bitcoin self-custody. Link is in the video description below for that.